Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we dive into MegaThreats by Nouriel Roubini, a compelling exploration of the 10 most significant dangers looming over humanity's future. Roubini, an esteemed economist renowned for his accurate prediction of the 2007 to 2009 global financial crisis, takes us through an evidence-based examination of potential global threats. He challenges us to reflect on whether our current efforts to mitigate these dangers are adequate. Each threat is analyzed not only for its immediate impact, but also for its long-term global consequences, pushing the boundaries of our understanding and preparation strategies. MegaThreats is not just a book, it's a crucial wake-up call for futurists, students of economics, and doomsday preppers alike. It serves as a guide for anyone concerned with the future of humanity, offering a unique blend of economic insight and actionable foresight. With Roubini's proven track record in crisis prediction and his extensive background in international macroeconomic issues, this book stands as an essential read for those looking to understand and navigate the potential cataclysms that lie ahead. Roubini's expertise offers an unparalleled opportunity to grasp the complexities of the global economy and the interwoven threats that could shape our collective future. Join us as we uncover the depths of MegaThreats and ponder the crucial question: are we ready for what's coming? MegaThreats: 10 dangerous trends that imperil our future and how to survive them. Introduction. Asterisk. Asterisk. Navigating the tumultuous waters of global catastrophes. Asterisk. Asterisk. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath you eroding at an alarming rate. This is not an exercise in thrill-seeking, but a metaphor for the precipice on which our world currently teeters. Every decision we make, every risk we take or avoid, contributes to the stability or further erosion of this precipice. Life's inherent risks, from the mundane to the monumental, train us to navigate our way through challenges. Yet, as we face today's global landscape, we find ourselves confronting risks of a higher order, risks that are reshaping the very fabric of our society. Enter the domain of the MegaThreats, where traditional geopolitical skirmishes pale in comparison to the juggernauts of inflation, debt, trade wars, and climate change. These are not mere economic or environmental hurdles. They are transformative forces that can either forge a new path for humanity or lead us to our downfall. The author Nouriel Roubini, often dubbed Dr. Doom, doesn't mince words when he warns of the systemic collapse that lies ahead if these MegaThreats are left unchecked. His prognosis may be dire, but it's not without a silver lining. Roubini advocates for an acute awareness of these global tremors and the interconnectedness of their consequences. The message is unambiguous. The time for action is not tomorrow, but today. The clock is ticking, and the shadow of these MegaThreats looms large over our collective future. But it is precisely in the face of such adversity that the human spirit has historically found its greatest strength. The MegaThreats are not just harbingers of doom. They are also catalysts for innovation, for rethinking the way we live, work, and connect with one another. They compel us to transcend our differences and rally as a global community with a shared purpose. But this transformation requires a paradigm shift in how we perceive risks, in acknowledging the gravity of the challenges ahead, and in mobilizing collective action to navigate through the storm. As we embark on this journey into the heart of the MegaThreats, let us do so with eyes wide open, recognizing both the peril and the promise they hold. The path forward is fraught with uncertainty, but it also brims with the potential for unprecedented global solidarity and innovation. The question that remains is not whether we will face these MegaThreats, but how we will choose to confront them. The time to decide, the time to act, is now. Part 1. Asterisk. Asterisk. Spiraling into a global debt crisis. How we reached the brink. Asterisk, asterisk. In a world where the words debt crisis are thrown around with alarming regularity, one might ask, how did we find ourselves teetering on the edge of this financial abyss? The numbers paint a staggering picture. Global debt soaring past the $250 trillion mark, with central banks in a frenzied effort to stave off economic collapse. This isn't just a hiccup in our global economic growth, but a full-fledged gasp for air. The roots of this crisis can be traced back to a series of critical missteps by governments worldwide. The reliance on outdated, often reckless economic practices has led us into a melanotic stew of debt, far surpassing anything seen even during the depths of the Great Depression. Unlike the economic downturns of the past, where a recession might have slowed growth without catastrophic consequences, today's landscape is markedly different. National debts are ballooning at an alarming rate, fueled by policies such as quantitative easing, which essentially amount to printing more money and sinking further into debt. This addiction to debt is not confined to the corridors of power. It mirrors a broader societal trend towards risk-taking without regard for the long-term fallout. Consumer culture encourages us to live beyond our means. Loans, credit cards, and buy now pay later schemes have become the norm, embodying a collective disregard for financial precipices looming in the shadows. Roubini's analyses spotlight a particularly concerning trend among affluent nations, a wild gamble with risk that has become an integral part of economic policy. This refusal to pivot towards more sustainable practices is not limited to the West alone. The domino effect of increasing debt defaults in developed nations translates into higher borrowing costs and dwindling confidence among lenders. Developing economies, already on fragile footing, are thus pushed further towards the brink. The private sector, too, has not been immune to this debt contagion. Private debt levels have eclipsed public debt, reaching new, dizzying heights and placing an even greater strain on economic stability. The intricately woven fabric of global economies means that a financial shockwave in one corner of the world can ripple through continents, amplifying the risk of a worldwide debt crisis. Central banks, in an attempt to navigate their economies through turbulent waters, have resorted to loosening monetary policies, inadvertently making money too cheap and fueling a dangerous boom and bust cycle reminiscent of the 1970s stagflation, a period marked by runaway inflation and looming recession. Unlike the 1970s, however, today's governments seem caught in a loop of repeated errors, incapable of breaking free from the cycle of debt. Amidst this grim tableau, a stark reality emerges. As income growth sputters across nations, the collective debt, spanning countries, corporations, and households, grows increasingly unmanageable. The specter of a financial meltdown looms large, urging a radical rethink of our global approach to debt. Only through a concerted effort towards sustainable debt management can we hope to avert a catastrophe and steer towards a more progressive, economically stable world. Part 2: Bracing for the AI Revolution, Navigating the Future of Work. Envision a future reminiscent of the most imaginative science fiction, a world where machines surpass human capabilities, where artificial intelligence, AI, not only complements but supersedes human efforts in the workplace. This scene, once confined to the realm of speculative fiction, is inching closer to reality. The rise of AI-powered automation is a testament to this shift, poised to redefine the landscape of employment as we know it. The transformation is already underway. AI is slated to assume control over an ever-expanding range of professional tasks. This progression towards omnipotent AI capabilities suggests a future where certain occupations may become relics of the past, casting some into the shadows of obsolescence while catapulting others, particularly the economic elite, into unprecedented prosperity. Nouriel Roubini, peering into this brewing storm, predicts an era marked by profound economic and social upheavals. The writing is on the wall for a multitude of industries coming to terms with a fundamental truth: machines can and will perform many tasks more efficiently, more accurately, and at a fraction of the cost than their human counterparts. This seismic shift heralds a precarious future for employment, as Roubini underscores the inevitability of long-term job displacement and a deepening chasm of inequality. The advent of automation is poised to disproportionately reward those positioned to spearhead and invest in these technological advancements. Echoing Roubini's concerns, Mustafa Suleiman, one of the minds behind DeepMind, projects that jobs characterized by repetitive, narrowly defined tasks face the highest risk of extinction. But the reach of AI extends far beyond the manufacturing floor. It's set to eclipse the need for human intervention even in roles revered for their intellectual rigor. In response to this impending tidal wave of change, Roubini suggests a pivot towards vocations that, at least for the foreseeable future, remain beyond the grasp of automation. Careers in childcare, plumbing, electrical work, and other such fields that demand a uniquely human touch. Alternatively, we might find solace in the concept of a universal basic income, a safety net allowing for a life of leisure as the domain of work is redefined. However, passivity is not a solution. The impending disruptions wrought by AI demand proactive measures, a collective effort to anticipate, adapt, and mitigate the fallout before it overwhelms society. Governments and organizations are called upon to prepare, to forge pathways that ensure a transition that is as inclusive as it is inevitable. In this critical juncture in human history, our challenge lies not in resisting the march of technology, but in steering it towards outcomes that preserve dignity, livelihoods, and the social fabric. The journey ahead is fraught with uncertainty, yet it also offers an opportunity to reimagine our place in a world where the line between human and machine continues to blur. Part 3: The Escalating Chaos. Climate Change's Far-Reaching Impact. At the heart of our planet's burgeoning crisis lies not just an economic dilemma, but a profound environmental catastrophe: climate change. With the world's thermostat on the rise, nations are grappling with the escalating fallout. The burgeoning global population stares down the barrel of diminishing water supplies, while unpredictable weather patterns wreak havoc on agricultural predictability. Floods and droughts become the norm, rendering vast expanses of land infertile and thrusting agriculture into a realm of uncertainty. The specter of climate change is not a distant threat. It's a seismic force that's reshaping our reality. The repercussions of a warming world extend far beyond environmental degradation, sowing seeds of political, economic, and societal turmoil. Europe, for instance, finds itself at the forefront of an unparalleled migrant crisis, as people flee their homelands in search of refuge from the climate-induced desolation. The interconnectedness of these challenges reinforces the magnitude of the climate crisis, yet the global response has fallen dramatically short of what is required. The stakes are monumental. Inaction or inadequate actions today herald a future where the cost of adaptation to climate effects will soar, potentially to unattainable heights. Developing nations, in particular, stand on the precipice of disaster. Lacking the resources to independently combat the impacts of climate change, they face a dire predicament that necessitates immediate and collective action. While solutions like carbon taxation and the cessation of fossil fuel subsidies mark steps in the right direction, they scratch only the surface of a deeply rooted issue. Compounding the crisis, the degradation of our environment paves the way for pandemics, a connection increasingly difficult to ignore in light of recent outbreaks from SARS to COVID-19. The theory posits that as climate change erodes animal habitats, it fosters conditions ripe for zoonotic diseases to leap from animals to humans. Institutions like Harvard's Center for Climate Health and the Global Environment underscore this intersection of health and climate, spotlighting the urgent need for concerted action. The canvas of challenges painted by climate change is vast and daunting. Left unchecked, It promises irreversible harm to our environment, economies, and the very fabric of society. The imperative to act is not merely an option, but a survival imperative. Yet, as the clock ticks down, the absence of substantial investment in green and renewable energy solutions paints a concerning picture of governmental inertia. In the face of this existential crisis, the call to arms is clear. We must awaken from our slumber and navigate away from the edge of the precipice. The journey towards sustainability and resilience begins with recognition, commitment, and transformative action on a global scale. Part 4. The ripple effects of an aging workforce on global economies. Imagine running a business during challenging economic times. To keep afloat, you consider reducing your staff, a seemingly practical solution to cut costs. Yet, this decision sets off a cascade of consequences: reduced productivity, overburdened remaining employees, and decreased consumer spending from those laid off, potentially spiraling into further layoffs. This scenario, while not immediately tagged as a mega-threat, mirrors a larger looming crisis facing advanced economies worldwide: the aging population. The idyllic notion of retirement, a time for relaxation and leisure after decades of labor, is overshadowed by the economic implications of a dwindling workforce. As the baby boomer generation sails into retirement, there aren't enough younger workers stepping up to fill the gap. This demographic shift places an increasing burden on government budgets, strained under the weight of providing for a growing number of retirees through essential programs like healthcare and pensions. This financial strain isn't just a fleeting concern, but a rapidly escalating issue that could potentially cripple economies. The numbers are staggering, with a Citigroup report highlighting unfunded or underfunded pension liabilities in the wealthiest nations reaching a jaw-dropping $78 trillion. The implications are clear. As taxes rise to support these ballooning costs and social programs face cuts, economic stagnation seems inevitable. In facing this daunting challenge, what strategies can governments employ? The knee-jerk reaction might be to turn to quantitative easing, printing more money to ease the financial strain. Yet this only buries nations deeper in debt. Additionally, any attempts to cut costs or reduce benefits will undoubtedly clash with commitments made to influential interest groups, making such endeavors politically sensitive and controversial. Nevertheless, hope is not lost. Prominent economists like Danny Roderick propose solutions that, while controversial, hold potential for mitigating the impacts of an aging populace. He advocates for increased immigration to bolster the workforce and a pivot towards embracing free trade over protectionism and populism, ideas that challenge the prevailing sentiments in many Western nations. The path forward requires a delicate balance of realism and innovation, recognizing the complexity of the challenges ahead, while remaining open to potentially unpopular but necessary solutions. The consequences of inaction far outweigh the discomfort of these difficult decisions. As economies teeter on the brink of this demographic precipice, the time for bold, forward-thinking strategies is now, lest we find ourselves unprepared for the economic upheaval that the aging population threatens to unleash. Part 5. Revitalizing the heart of the economy. The urgent need for central bank reform. Imagine if we viewed the economy not as a complex machine, but as a living, breathing organism. At its core, the central bank functions as the brain, orchestrating the financial system's intricate workings, while commercial banks, the heart, pump money, the lifeblood, through the economy. Businesses and consumers, akin to muscles, are the driving force of economic growth. In this body economic, the failure of one component can lead to systemic malfunctions, with the brain's malfunction potentially proving catastrophic. In response to fluctuating economic winds, the role of central banks has evolved, expanding to address the challenges contemporary economies face. One of the most controversial measures, quantitative easing, has been a double-edged sword. On one side, it has revitalized economies by injecting them with liquidity. On the other, it has stoked fears of asset bubbles and deviation from the foundational goal of monetary stability. This dichotomy paints a portrait of central banks at a crossroads, caught between traditional mandates and the labyrinth of modern financial crises. The geopolitical chess game further complicates the central bank's positioning. As the United States grapples with its ballooning debt, the specter of international distrust looms, threatening the dollar's hegemony as the global reserve currency. Anticipation builds around the People's Bank of China, which eyes an opportunity to elevate the yuan to premier status, thereby reshaping the global financial landscape and putting additional pressure on Western economies to maintain their economic dominance. This crucible of challenges signals a clear verdict. The time for central bank reform is now. Plagued by antiquated technological infrastructures and policies that widen the chasm of inequality, the need for an overhaul is glaring. Yet, amidst the turbulence, central banks stand on the brink of possibly their most groundbreaking innovation: the introduction of a central bank digital currency, CBDC. This shift towards digital currency represents a beacon of progress, but it is not without its perils. The transition could further destabilize the fragile economic balance, highlighting the precarious nature of foundational change. As we stand at this financial precipice, it's evident that clinging to the status quo is not an option. The discussion surrounding central bank reform must move from theoretical to actionable, embracing the potential of digital currencies while safeguarding against the risks they entail. The financial system's heart and brain require a sophisticated recalibration, designed to navigate the complexities of a global economy in flux. In executing these reforms, central banks may yet redefine their role, forging a path towards an equitable, stable, and resilient economic future. Final summary. A mounting roster of existential threats shadows our world, weaving a tapestry of challenges that seem insurmountable. Climate change, the emergence of zoonotic diseases, the march of technological disruption, dwindling populations amidst soaring inequality, and the specter of debilitating debt form a chilling constellation of megathreats. Faced with such dire forecasts, one might wonder, is the situation salvageable? According to Roubini, the answer might lean towards pessimism. Yet, history is replete with human triumphs over seemingly insurmountable odds. We ventured beyond our earthly confines to touch the moon, vanquished diseases that once ravaged humanity, and harnessed the digital ether to create the internet. So, what barriers stand between us and the resolution of these modern plagues? At the core of our struggles is a systemic failure to embrace long-term vision. Our decision-making processes are ensnared in the immediacy of the now, often guided by skewed perceptions and partial truths. This myopic outlook hinders our ability to architect and implement solutions that transcend the present, leaving us adrift in a sea of temporary fixes and band-aid solutions. However, all is not lost. The journey of the past 75 years showcases our capacity for remarkable progress and adaptation. The essence of human innovation and cooperation has repeatedly proven its might against the forces that seek to divide and diminish us. To navigate the tempests posed by megathreats, we must foster a collective resolve, uniting in pursuit of mega-solutions that address the root causes and not merely the symptoms of our planetary crisis. This pivotal moment in our shared history calls for an audacious reimagining of our societal structures, our economic models, and our relationship with the natural world. It summons a global awakening to the interconnectedness of our fates, urging us to cast aside division in favor of solidarity. As we stand at this crossroads, the path we choose will dictate the legacy we leave for future generations. Will we muster the courage to face these mega-threats head-on, channeling our ingenuity and collaborative spirit to secure a future marked not by despair, but by hope and resilience. The answer lies within our collective hands, and the time to act is now. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.